I work a janitorial second shift at a high school located downtown. It's a bit populated school, just little over 1,000 kids. The building is somewhat retro designed building, being is that it built in 1910. It hasn't had any renovations due to its somewhat ancient design. It looks like an old building, definitely not like no other. Other than the fact that it's kind of a spooky place at night. That's not too much to say about it. But after one winter night, something that was thought to be was not. But after one winter night, everything that was thought to be was not as it should. One afternoon, during Christmas break, I was working with the other janitors after school hours. We got called in to the main office near the end of our shifts. We walked in, and the senior janitor was there with the assistant principal. He talked if three of us would do a late work starting at 10 p.m. until 11 a.m. at the latest. We could be paid extra for working usually late. The floors were going to be waxed, so he wanted some of it to be done tonight after a few important meetings. A couple of days ago, the school board was coming in and requested it. Four of us agreed to do it since we could have used some of the extra money out of the kindness of our hearts. The senior janitor and the principal thanked us and left shortly. At 9:48 p.m., all of us had arrived at the school. It was very dark and barely any of the lights had turned on inside. It looked quite eerie for this view. We walked into the front doors. One of the janitors, Elliot, exclaimed, "Ready, gentlemen?" "Oh, sure," I said. "It looks like some kind of strange from out here," said Gus. "Yeah, well, someone's got to do it," I said. Elliot unlocked the door chain from the keys and pushed the doors open. It made a loud creaking sound, much more noticeable from the dark void and silence from the inside. It felt just a little insecure. We walked in. The lobby was dark, and the only light was coming from the two halls going diagonally left and right. The others were completely dark. "Ah, shit. Seems like the other guys forgot to leave the lights on for us," said Elliot. "Oh, well, I'll find the switch." Gus. He turned on his mag light, and searched for the fuse down to the right hall, which was very dark. We waited in the lobby for about 5 minutes, and nothing happened. We heard slow steps coming from the end of the left hall, which was pitch black. No light was visible. "Oh God, what is he doing? The fuse isn't that way." "Hey, Gus! The fuse is that way!" yelled Elliot. No answer. After 30 seconds later, the lights came on, and Gus showed up from the right hall. All I was wondering was how he got there so fast. "Having a little trouble finding that fuse?" I joked. "Yeah, right," he answered. "Alright, let's get started. We just have to do the halls and the cafeteria for now. Remember to take out the extra recycling in the classrooms," said Elliot. We got right to work. I made my way towards the ground floor. Gus took the first floor, and Elliot had the second floor. Not going to lie, it was pretty creepy. Making my way down the stairs, the classrooms were dark and the lights wasn't fully on. Some of the ground floor flickered from time to time. I guess it must have been the power-saving mechanism. I found the utility closet and grabbed the appropriate tools. I began on the floor in the hall. It was quite a tedious task, going over to the floor multiple times. While I was waiting for the first layer to set in the hall, I went to the classrooms to take out the recycling. Only 2 of them contained enough to have it go into the bin. I unlocked one of the classrooms and began collecting the trash. Most of it was cardboard boxes. I gathered them and everything seemed fine. Then I went to the room next to it. I started to see the next stack of cardboard. As the stack lowered, I noticed it was in one of the nurse careers classrooms. When I saw ahead of me, it caught me off guard. Along the back wall, there were 4 replica hospital beds, each resting place to a semi-realistic mannequin. I really don't like mannequins, dummies or dolls. Anything of that matter. It distracted me for a good long moment, but I resumed my work. At the same time I was taking out the recycling, I felt a chilling feeling. For some reason, it felt like I was being watched. Being the spook person I was, I occasionally peeked over to where the mannequins lay, just to reassure myself that they were still there. I felt stupid doing it, but it was the only thing that was going to help keep myself calm. I left the room to get another bin. When I came back, I looked towards the beds again. For some reason, I felt like the mannequins had moved. I can't remember if their faces were facing straight up or slightly looking down towards their feet, but it was still scary to think about. I quickly gathered up the cardboard and left as fast as I could. I went down the corridors and checked the classrooms. One of the classrooms I went into had a window where they could see outside, and the other windows nearing the nursing room. I gathered up some of the recycling in the room. Some school supplies that were labeled to be taken out were gathered up. But when I looked out the window, I thought I could see something move through the other classroom. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe I was seeing things, but it looked like the top of someone's head. I was getting ridiculous. I just shrugged it off and went on my way, but not entirely. As I walked on, I could faintly hear a classroom door on the opposite side of the ground floor open and slam. That's odd. Why are one of them down here? That really threw me off guard and raised my suspicion, as I also heard one of the double doors in the corridor banging open, then shut violently. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? I decided to make my way around the back towards the noise, still feeling a bit scared, also being reminded of how dim the lights were. I walked over to where the noise was hearing. Nothing. Just empty darkness with flickering lights. All of a sudden, there was a thumping coming from the upstairs floor. Something that's been slamming down pretty hard to make the floor and to be causing that loud of a noise. At this point, I demanded to know what the hell was going on. I walked down the hall towards where I left the previous recycling bins. They were right next to the nursing room. The door was open. Now, I don't know what compelled me to look back inside again, but I looked. My whole body shivered. There were still 4 beds by the wall, but only 3 mannequins. I'm sure there were 4, despite my hazy memory. I looked around the room to see if it fell or anything. No sign of the 4th mannequin. I immediately left the room, locking it with haze. Feeling like something would follow me out, I rolled the trash cans down the hall. Just then, something caught my eye from the right side. Something moved along the door window to the right of me and made a sound. I shined my light in the dark room. Oddly enough, I saw a pair of legs. I unlocked the door and slowly opened it. It was still too dark to see. I flipped the switch. Instantly, with no warning, I was greeted by 7 beds, all with mannequins that arose sitting straight up looking at me in the eye. I froze, still dropping the mag light. Their faces were illuminated by the red exit sign. They looked enraged and very displeased. They stared at me so angrily. I didn't know what to do. I quickly grabbed the mag light and pushed up against the door behind me, which was already closed. I bashed the door open, swearing I could hear not just me rustling the fuck out of there. It sounded like 3 other things were following me. Don't look back, I thought to myself. I slammed the door and locked it. I ran down the hall, breathing heavily, already drenched with sweat. I opened a pair of double doors and ran out. I stopped and shouted, "Guys, I'm not fucking kidding. This isn't funny at all. I almost gave me a heart attack back there. If you guys are fucking with me, then it's not funny anymore. Knock it off." I listened. Nothing but the silent flickering of the lights. Suddenly they all went out. I must have said every word in the book at this point. They came out again 2 minutes later. Then they were even dimmer. After my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I made my way down the hall. More thumping could be heard upstairs. I tried to find the nearest stairwell. It was jammed shut. Son of a bitch. I attempted to break the door open. After 3 bone-crunching kicks, it broke open. I looked at the door. Someone had tried to jam big wooden splinters into it. As I was just about to take the first step, I faintly heard something pitter-patter from a distance. When it opened to the pair of double doors, I rushed upstairs and opened the door to the first floor. "Gus! Elliot! What the fuck?" No answer. "You can stop now. It's not funny anymore. gonna kick both of your asses." No answer other than the response of my uncle. At this point, I was very creeped out. I shunned my mag light. Thank God I hadn't forgotten it. The lights were the same as they were when I first arrived, oddly enough. I thought they would have at least turned the hall lights. I made my way down the middle hall. I broke off into the left wing to look for them. Where the hell are they? Whatever sick, crazy joke this was, it really wasn't funny. It was working, too. It started to get darker the further I went. The school was eerie in itself, being in the middle of downtown and somewhat ancient. The corridors got colder and appeared much more void. I peeked into the security room, which always had running cameras. On the third floor, there was no sign of Elliot, no sign of Gus. I scanned the screens for more info, then changed camera every 10 seconds. I found nothing except when I saw me peeking into the room. But when I saw something swiftly appear and dart around the corner, that would be to my right. Before its figure became clear, the camera switched again. I turned to my right. Instantly, nothing. I listened. Still nothing. I began to work my way down the hall again. Just then I heard some of the sounds of something scuttling around the hall. I shined my light in the direction it came from. Nothing. Not even a shadow. I walked fast after the noise. "Gus, I swear to God, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass." I made my way down the hall, finding the utility closet open. I walked over to it and shined my light inside. It was a mess. Everything was disorganized. Things were missing and stuff had just hanging off the shelves. I turned and there was to walk out and something dripped in my head. What the fuck? I turned the light on and looked at my head. The drips were thick red. I looked up. I stopped breathing. My heart skipped a beat. My heart was the only thing I can hear. Above me was the body of Gus, hanging by a hook in his back, which fed out through his mouth. His eyes were bulging out, looking straight at me in both eyes. The same enraged, fiery-eyed look the mannequins gave me in the basement. Both of his eyes were replaced with realistic porcelain mannequin eyes. He was tearing up blood dripping down his face, and his nose was gushing blood. His teeth were mangled and broken like sharp, crooked shapes. I jumped back and fell on my back with a scream. I kicked the door open and slammed it closed. I struggled to get out. When I looked to my left, I swear on my life, I could see something's head peeking around the corner. I shined my light at it. It went away before I could light it up. I ran the opposite way, hearing not just my footsteps. I also kept running down the corridor in fear, not knowing where I would go. On the way, there was a text printed right on the wall. It said, "Don't run." I saw the double doors in the cafeteria. I opened them silently, rushed inside, and listened. Someone was definitely on my trail. It was pitch black in the cafeteria. I shined my light and hid behind a bunch of tables, looking around to see if anything was behind me. I could see outside, but barely, because it was so dark. After about 40 seconds, I heard the door. Something slowly opened the door, it creaking and squished, then closed. Then I heard the sound of light steps walking around. It sounded as if the very light woman was walking on heels. I kept watching to see the shadow of its head covering the door windows, which was slightly lit. It continued to walk to the right, thankfully away from my direction. However, I tried to shine my light at it for a split second to see what it was dealing with. I pressed the button. Instantly I saw a lightly tanned figure with the bushy curly hair turned around. I turned the light off immediately. Then it started making its way towards me. I could no longer see it. I knew instantly that I had to get the hell out of there. I thought for a quick plan to get myself out of here. I found a piece of one of the broken chairs from the last week and threw it. It clanged and bounced along the ground directly to my right. I could hear the figure turn towards where it went. Once I knew for sure that it was headed that opposite direction, I quickly snuck the only available door. Opened it slightly, out towards the hall. I didn't look back. I kept running. I took the turn towards the hall from the utility closet. To my surprise, it was open. I remember shutting it. Something was not supposed to be here. I tried to radio Elliot. "Elliot! Are you there? Where are you?" I screamed. I couldn't hear Elliot. But what I could hear was the sound of something moving against the receiver. It produced the sound at the same timing. The only idea I could think of was that it might have been his body, swinging and rubbing up against an article of clothing. I needed to get out of there. I sprinted until I spotted the doors in the lobby. With all my might, I took a deep breath and brushed into the dark doors. I smacked my head off the glass and smashed my arm into the handlebar, making me fall over. What the fucking hell? I got up and looked at the door. Something had chained the doors shut. I couldn't believe this. Just then I heard the pitter-patter of light feet from across the left dark hall. It came closer and closer. I was about to turn the corner. I went berserk, smashing the glass with my foot and chipping large chunks away from the light. I inched my way out. I didn't care if I was cut or not. I just wanted to get out. I looked behind me. There it was. The mannequin was running straight at me, arms flailing madly. It was looking straight into my eyes. It was extremely inflamed with rage. Its eyes widened with the point of insanity, producing striding, slightly bloodshot whites. Its pupils were blood red. Its mouth was open in an O shape. The old faded red lipstick, blood, was trickling down its face, from its eyes. There were guts splattered on its chest. If I had ever had such desperate murder in somebody's face, I'd be seeing it. It screamed as it caught up 3 feet away from me. I ran down the staircase, hearing the bumped in glass shattering. I made it to my car and just went in. I tried to start the piece of crap when I looked out the window. It was gone. No sign of it. I looked around. I didn't see a thing. My heart beating as fast as possible. I let out a long breath, left still with a dreadful feeling. I backed out, screeching my tires along the parking lot. Just then I heard a loud bump. It startled me, and whatever it was, it must have injured it. I sped out towards the exiting road. I hyperventilated all the way down the road. The road was going to lead to an intersection downtown. I was the slightest bit revealed, but I couldn't believe what I saw. It couldn't have been possible. I slowed down and stopped at the red light. It was the only red light 100 feet away. I attempted to collect myself and regain my sanity after all the horrors I endured. But then, I heard a faint sound on the seat next to me. Already feeling paranoid and scared, I decided to slowly turn. There it was, staring at me, right up to my face, filled with a maniacal, furious malice.